Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my November book haul video. I'm very excited. I've been accumulating books from thrift stores, one library sale where I had to fight for my life. I'll talk about that in a second. And a few new ones, which I'm very excited. I received two new pre-orders that I got early somehow. I'm not complaining. If they want to ship my pre-ordered books early every time, I will happily accept. And I'm saying like two because there is one that I haven't received as I'm filming this, but I'll put a close-up of the physical copy when I receive it, because I received the email this morning that it's on its way today. It's being delivered. They have until 9 p.m. and I wanted to record this before it gets dark because lighting and everything. There's only so much I can do with a ring light. So yes, Legends and Lattes. Yes, I thought it was supposed to come out November 9th, but apparently a little bit early. Super excited about that one. I read the ebook version of it. It was originally self-published, but it was picked up by a publisher, a 2-book contract. So there's a second one coming out in the same little town. But yes, I feel like everyone has been talking about it. I have been raving about it. You will still see it at the end of the year in one of my end of the year award videos. But this is so cute. Cozy adult fantasy. It's a new discovery for me. I feel like it's a subgenre that I didn't think was going to be my thing yet. It is absolutely adorable. Sapphic romance, but it's about this orc that was a mercenary, saved up her money to change her life, and opens up a coffee shop. And there's a reason everyone raves about this. I actually haven't heard anyone say anything negative, but I mean, it's possible. These people exist. It reminds me of that one time that I got drunk and I read bad reviews of Becky Chambers' books, which I adore her books. They're so wholesome. And the worst people had to say was like, oh, like it's like pirates in space that are wholesome. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I feel like if I were to read the reviews of this one, it would be the same. Anyway, that's book number 1. Book number 2, like I said, also a new release that I received early for some reason. Galatea. I still need to check how you pronounce this. I pronounce everything in French when I'm not sure, but Madeline Miller, love her to bits. I would read absolutely anything and everything by her. This one is super short though. It's like 70, not even 75 pages. It's 56 pages. So one day this month I will be reading this. I'm very excited. It's a new Greek myth retelling. It's about this statue of a woman, and then she comes to life, and then she, I think, ends up marrying her sculptor, and he's not a good person. So I'm hoping this is going to be good, but I've heard that this was going to enrage me. So I'm prepared though, but I love her writing. It's just so lyrical. Usually I feel like that kind of writing doesn't really work for me. It feels very fluffy but empty, but not hers, not hers. Next, I wanted to give a shout out to Book of the Month because they are sponsoring this video. If you don't know, Book of the Month is an online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover new books that they love. Their team vets hundreds of books each month and give the subscribers a choice of new and early release books. You pick the one you're interested in and you get it sent to you. They have a great skip policy, which means that if for whatever reason you don't want to book that month, you can skip it and you won't get charged. So I'm going to put on screen all of the books that you can pick this month. I was able to choose 2 that seemed the most appealing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. The first one is The Last Party by Claire McIntosh. This is, I think, my 4th book by her, but this one, when I heard the premise, I knew I wanted to give her another shot because I've been mentioning how I've been wanting to read more books where it's like who's done it, like in a room, like in a enclosed space, and this is basically what this one is about. There's a New Year's Eve party and it's all like rich neighbors who are at the party in one house, and someone is murdered. It has to be someone from, you know, one of the houses around the lake that are at that party, and we're approaching New Year's Eve, so maybe I will be picking this up very early next year. And then the second one, which I really like the cover of this one, this is White Horse. The premise also sounded appealing because you have this indigenous woman who finds a bracelet that is haunted by the spirit of her mother. So like horror, paranormal. I've been wanting to read more horror, so I'm hoping that this one will work for me. It's not too big either, so I'll let you know how these go. To celebrate the fact that they're now shipping to Canada, you can get your first hardcover for $9.99 Canadian if you use the coupon code Canada, so highly recommend it. I'll link everything in the description box if you are interested. Okay, so the next one, I picked it up because of the cover. I don't do cover buys much. I feel like whenever I went to a library sale, like like I said, it was very, very chaotic. People literally bring like big containers to just shove books in there. I think they're resellers, and I'm there like with my mask trying to still be careful, and people are so aggressive. I just got really overwhelmed. So I grabbed a few things quickly, and then the rest I ended up buying at Value Village because I couldn't deal. But this one, 100% a cover buy, and then I read what it was about. I was like, oh my god, good thing I did pick it up because that sounds really cool. I, who have never known men, and the cover reminded me of something I just picked up, which is the Memory Police, right? Similar vibes, right? I usually don't care for people on my cover, but this one looked really fun. And I believe this is a dystopian. There's 39 women who are in a cage underground, and then there's a 40th one, which is a young woman, and I think she's going to be like bringing them out. I don't know if it's like dystopian, post-apocalyptic, I don't know, but sounded really cool. And then I just realized that this is actually a translation from French. I do try to read French book in French, but I didn't know. And I mean, you know, but in French, for anyone curious, I think this was published in 1995. Moi qui n'ai pas connu les hommes. So pretty much the same thing. So I'll let you know, but I'm really, really intrigued. Gorgeous cover. I feel like it looks kind of literary fiction cover, and it's not too big. So I'll keep you updated, but that sounds cool. I'll bring the pal in front because, oh my gosh. Quickly, a book that I just finished. I found The Thursday Murder Club when I was shopping. So obviously I grabbed it because I was currently listening to the audiobook. And it was kind of so-so as an audiobook. The quality was fine, but for some reason the story like took a while for me to let me get invested emotionally. I feel like the ending was quite strong and I finished it as a physical book. So I don't know if it's just the story that got better or if it just worked better for me as a physical book, but I feel like generally speaking, the story, the idea is better than the actual experience of reading it. But I had been warned that book 1 was good, but book 2 was going to be awesome. Hopefully it's going to be the case for me. But you're following this group of older people. They're all like 75, 80, and they live in this retirement house village. And there's a murder, and they start trying to get into it, trying to investigate themselves, and like try to force the police to work with them. So like the premise is super cool, but like it had good moments. I did feel like the ending was strong, but yeah, not bad. I'm happy I have it, but book 2 better be better. Next, I was really, really excited. This is the last book I didn't own, well, at least a full-size novel for Octavia E. Butler. It is part of the ugly range that I seem to own most of her books in this actually edition. It doesn't matter. I wanted to read it. It's the last one I didn't own. This is Fleeging, and I believe this one is a vampire, which this is probably why I hadn't picked it up yet. In fact, this was actually the book that she wrote whenever she suffered from writer's block, whenever she was writing the, now what is it called? I don't remember what the series is called, but after Parable of the Talents, the third book in that series, she didn't know what to write. She didn't know how to continue, so she wrote this instead, which might be why people don't think this is their favorite, but I still wanted to read it. I want to read everything by her. I'm like halfway through all of her work, so vampires or not, I will be reading this. If I like it, I'll buy a prettier edition, you know? It's just how it works at this point for me. Speaking of pretty edition, I want to read more classics. I've been really enjoying reading them. Every 2 months we're reading a big one on Patreon for the book club, and I saw this one. It was really pretty, so I decided to grab it. Far from the Madding Crowd. I feel like I've heard people mention it, but I don't know anything about it. So it is what it is. I do know it's the same author that wrote Tess Duberville or something like that, which I haven't read yet, but come on, the edition was just so pretty. I couldn't resist. They're like $2 at a library sale, so I get sucked in every time. But yes, I'll read it, but I feel like I've heard people making jokes about shapes, but that's all I know about it. That's all it takes for me sometimes with classics. So because we're still during the fall, I still picked up a couple like mystery thrillers that appeal to me. I feel like I always see like rows and rows of them at used bookstores, and I kind of just get overwhelmed because I don't know anything about any of them, even though I want to read them. So I picked up 2 that sounded fun. We'll see if my picker is good or not, because it hasn't been so far, but fingers crossed. This time it will be different. The first one is For Your Own Good. That cover and title definitely called my name, so I decided to try it. I believe the teacher is like Teacher of the Year, and then some students think that he might be responsible for the murder that happened on campus or something like that. Like his wife hasn't been seen in a while, and like he's suspicious, or like they're digging into it. The reviews seem to be positive. We'll see, like I said, but I basically was still in the mood to read Dark Academia, and like A Murder on Campus was the closest thing I could find, so we'll see. The second one is Vanishing Girls. Not gonna lie, I'm a little tired of like girls, woman, wife in titles, but yellow. Honestly, it's all it takes for me to see a book at a used bookstore. Like any bright yellow just catches my eye. But I believe this one, there's a young girl that disappears, and then when they're looking for her, they just find another one, and she isn't speaking, she isn't saying what happened, who she is, and that's how the story starts. So we'll see. I do prefer going into my mystery thrillers not knowing much, which might be why for me it's a hit and miss genre, but we're hoping for the best. The next one, I kept being recommended this book, so I kind of screamed a little bit whenever I saw it. This is Keiju? I didn't actually look up how you pronounce it. I will. Preservation Society. It's John Scalzi, which I've been wanting to read something by him for a while. I have a couple of his books actually on my shelves, or what will be my shelves soon, so soon. But I've been told that this is actually kind of funny and a quick read, and I haven't been reading a lot of sci-fi this year. It's been all over the place. Not my usual genres, or just being what I read for some reason, but this one I keep being told that it's a quick read. It helps if you are in a slump. It's funny. And I believe is it a student again? No, it's during the COVID pandemic, yes, which I'm still iffy about reading books with the pandemic because I feel like I'm still so like tired of this situation. Like it's what we're living through right now. Anyway, so there's this person that works delivery driver during the pandemic, and he gets offered a job, and I think it's like alternate universe, taking care of animals, hence the whole like preservation. I'll let you know because I'm very curious. This is going to be a book that I try to read soon. I don't think I'm going to have time this month. Which sucks is that this month I have so many challenges that I can't really read that many of them. And then December I will be posting a million videos because it's the end of the year. I have to post like the best, most surprising, worst, most disappointing books and like the random ones. So many videos that this might just have to go in January. But I want to make it a point next year to read more fantasy sci-fi, to go back to my roots. So this might have to be one of the first books that I read in 2023. So let me know if it's worth it, but so far I've heard great things. Speaking of next year, I am already thinking about things I want to do, of course. I have like the big challenges set in stone. It's happening, they're happening. But as always, I like to do small little ones every month because it keeps things interesting and it forces me to also get to some books that I tend to forget about. It happens, okay? But when I saw this one, I took it as a sign that I need to do this challenge next year. This is Wired? I don't know, sisters. Anyway, I believe this is book 2 in the Witches series, part of the whole This World series by Terry Pratchett. I haven't read anything yet from this series, like nothing. And I have a couple of the books, so I think what I'm going to do is do a challenge where I read a couple of different ones. Because I've heard the first one, I think it's The Color of Magic, is like not great, and a lot of people skip and start with like the miniseries, including Witches 1 or the Death one, which I think I have book 1. And I have book 1 of the Witches. So I could read like the first 2 Witches, the Death one, maybe try the other one, all in like one vlog. Let me know if you're interested because I haven't tried anything by him yet, and he's really popular. I think that the only reason I haven't still is because I read the book that he wrote with Neil Gaiman and Good Omens, and I wasn't really a big fan, so it kind of made me, but I don't really care for Neil Gaiman as an author, so I'm still hopeful. So yes, that's why I got it that way. Now I have no choice but to remember that I need to try to do that challenge next year. I have 2 nonfictions that were already on my TBR, so when I saw them, screamed a little bit, grabbed them. This one is Doing Harm, the truth about how bad medicine and lazy science leave women dismissed, misdiagnosed, and sick. I was really excited when I saw this because earlier this year, like beginning of the year, I made a list of a lot of nonfictions I wanted to read, and I read a ton, not so much the last couple of months, but this was originally on my list, but my library doesn't have it. And I was looking for it every time I went used book shopping, and finally, it happened. I have it. I probably won't have time to read it before the end of the month when I will be doing a review of all of the books, nonfiction books I've read this year. And this was one of the few, like I said, with this topic, like the way women or female bodies are treated in medicine. So I'll let you know next year, but I've read like 4 or 5 books on that topic already, so I might need a little bit of a break. But yes, the topic is definitely something that interests me, so I'll let you know, but I have it now. I'm really excited. And then the second one, the second nonfiction, is entitled How Male Privilege Hurt Women. A topic that obviously we hear more and more about because the rise of the incel movement, I should say. And it basically what this talks about, you know, from things like mansplaining to how mass shooting or mass murdering events by incels are just increasing and how it's linked to entitlement. I believe it also includes a few of like more modern situations, but yes, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be, but when I saw it, I needed to own this because I've been wanting to try to own more physical copy of nonfictions that interest me because they're so hard to find secondhand. Like it really depends like where you go, but usually they're really old random ones, but I was lucky. I found two that seemed right up my alley. And then I also have some Toni Morrison. This was during the library sale. I had to fight for my life for these people. I don't know why people get like that. They push people and I just don't want to deal. So I just grabbed the 2 books because I saw her name and I was like, I've been wanting to read more books by her. And then I got home and I realized that this one, Paradise, is actually the 3rd book in I think it's the Beloved series. And I have book 1. So, you know, it's not that bad. If I like book 1, I'll have book 3. My library might have book 2 or maybe I'll find it somewhere. But I have book 3, so I'm okay. It will once again remind me that I need to read books by her because... Do you do that too? I feel like there are some authors that I feel like I'm going to really love, but it takes me forever to get to them. But when I do, I end up really loving them. That's exactly what happened with Octavia E. Butler. When I finally got around to reading her books, I owned most of them, and all of them so far have been like 4 or 5 stars. So I'm happy I did, but it's a risk. It's always a risk. And then the second one is Tar Baby, which again, I just saw her name and grabbed it because I've been meaning to read more by her, but I have no idea what this one is about. So, but if I like Beloved, I will want to read everything. So now I will have it. They were $1. So I become a lot less picky during library sales. I'm like, that sounds fun, grabbing it. I eventually get around and read them. So, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. I'm really excited still. I'm waiting for Legends and Lattes, but any minute now, I'm sure. And yeah, pretty successful, pretty happy with these. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up, subscribe. Let me in the comment section if you have read any of these and which ones I should prioritize, because I think the ones I'm the most excited about are this one, of course. Then the one that's at the bottom, this one. It's going to be such a quick read. And where is the other one? The French one. Hopefully the translation is good, but it just seems, I don't know, there's just something about the book that calls my name. Speaking of end of the year, I just posted my end of the year book tag where I talk about all the books I'm trying to read before we get to the end of the year. Slightly stressed. And then my November TBR if you want to see all the challenges that I'm hoping to do this month. That's it. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.